Part 1. I was just his assistant until I wasn't. They say never mix business with pleasure, but what if business is the only way you ever meet pleasure? My name is Evan Cross, 25, organized, professional, invisible. At least that's how I felt when I started working at Blake and Row Capital. I wasn't a big deal, just an assistant, third desk from the left, one laptop, one phone line, and a sea of power suits who never looked up, except one did. One always did. His name was Marcus Blake. The Marcus Blake, CO, co-founder, cold eyes, clean lines, tailored suits worth more than my car, and the kind of man who didn't need to raise his voice to own the room. He just was the room, and somehow I became the exception to his silence. It started small, post-meeting glances, a nod across the elevator. That first time he said my name out loud in front of the board. Evan's pulling the new portfolio data. Trust me, he's fast. Trust me, 2 words I hadn't heard in years. And from him, they lit a match. Then came the late nights. At first, I was helping with spreadsheets, then reports, then just one more file while he loosened his tie and leaned back in that dark walnut chair. Stay a little longer, he'd say. We're close. He didn't mean the numbers. And I didn't ask questions, because I liked the way it felt, being seen, not just as a coffee run guy, not just a backup planner, but as someone worth staying late for. One night changed everything. It was storming outside, lightning behind the window, thunder shaking the glass. We were alone, just him and me in that giant corner office. The city stretched behind him in flickers of blue and silver. He leaned on the edge of the desk, sleeves rolled, collar open, watching me close my laptop. You always leave last, he said. Someone has to. I joked. You know I noticed, right? I blinked. Notice what? He stood, crossed the floor slowly. Your focus, your silence, the way you read people before they even speak. My heart skipped. You pay attention to that? I pay attention to everything, he said, then paused, especially when it matters. He was closer now. I could smell his cologne, clean, masculine, expensive. Is this okay? He asked. His voice wasn't commanding. It was cautious, soft, dangerous. I don't want to cross a line unless it's one you'd step over too. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. I leaned forward. So, did he? And the second our lips touched, the whole office disappeared. It wasn't frantic. It was slow, measured, like he'd waited long enough, and now he needed to memorize it. My back hit the desk, his hands pressed into my shirt, and all I could think was, how long has he wanted this? How long had I? We pulled apart when a phone buzzed. His office line, flashing red. He looked at it, then me. This never happened. His voice was sharp now, back in CO mode. Understood? I nodded slowly. Understood. But I was lying, because it did happen, and I couldn't unfeel it. The next morning, everything was different, not on the outside. He walked past me in the hallway without a glance, took meetings, spoke to clients. But when I brought his lunch into the conference room, our fingers brushed, and that half-second lingered too long, too real, too electric, and I knew then, whatever this was, it wasn't over, not even close. But secrets don't stay secrets forever, not in glass towers, not under fluorescent lights, not in offices where everything is recorded, watched, measured, especially not when your boss is also the man you can't stop thinking about. They say the higher you rise, the harder you fall. Well, what if you're falling for the one already at the top? Would you risk your career for a single touch? Would you lie to protect the one thing that finally made you feel alive? Or would you let the whole world burn just to kiss him again? Comment your answer below. Would you fall for the boss if he fell for you first? Like, share, and subscribe for part 2. Because in this office, nothing stays secret for long. Part 2. The more we hid, the closer we got. You'd think kissing your boss once would be enough, that the guilt would settle in and you'd pull away. But sometimes that first mistake doesn't push you apart. It pulls you closer. The morning after that kiss, I expected Marcus to be different. Cold, distant, back in CO mode. And in a way, he didn't look at me during our morning brief. Didn't ask about the numbers. Didn't even nod when I handed him his espresso. But at 10:42 a.m., he texted me, "Marcus, conference room B." Now, I walked in slow, empty chairs, frosted windows. He stood at the head of the table, arms crossed, jaw tight. "Evan," he said low. "Yes, sir." He flinched at the word sir. Don't what?" "Don't make this harder by pretending nothing happened." I took a breath. "You said it never happened." He stepped closer. I lied. Silence. "I can't stop thinking about it," he added. His voice raw, stripped of the corporate polish. "Every time you walk by, every time you speak, I want to—" He stopped himself. I moved closer. "Then why are we pretending?" He hesitated. "Because if anyone finds out, they'll think I used my position to get you." "Did you?" "No, but they won't care." I looked him in the eye. "Then don't use your position. Use your words." He stared at me for a long second. Then he kissed me again. Harder this time. Less careful. More desperate. That afternoon, I got an unexpected email. From Jordan Kelly. Subject, friendly warning. Watch your steps. The glass walls of eyes. Jordan was Marcus's executive secretary. 31. Sharp suits. Sharper instincts. She'd been with him since the beginning of Blake and Rowe. And if anyone knew everything, it was her. I found her later by the elevators. "Was that email for me?" I asked. She sipped her iced coffee, eyes locked on me. "I like you, Evan. You're good at your job. Quiet. Focused. You don't cause waves." Pause. "Don't start now. I don't know what you're talking about." She tilted her head. "You don't have to. Just understand this. Marcus is untouchable. Until he's not." And with that, she walked off. That night, I stayed late again. Not for work. For him. Marcus called me into his office just after 7. City lights glowed outside. He poured 2 glasses of whiskey. Loosened his tie. "Do you think we're being reckless?" he asked. "Do you want to stop?" He didn't answer. Instead, he handed me the glass and sat beside me on the couch. The room was quiet. Soft jazz played in the background, and the air between us felt dangerous. "I built this company with blood," he said. "I know. I've spent my life keeping things clean, controlled. And I messed that up?" He turned toward me. "You challenge that. Is that a bad thing?" He leaned in. "I haven't decided." Then kissed me again. The weeks that followed became a blur of secrecy. We became masters at timing. He'd accidentally bump into me at the printer room. I'd take lunch when he took his walks. We learned to speak in glances, in coded emails, in silence that meant more than words ever could. But secrets rot, even the beautiful ones. And the office, it had started to notice. The way Jordan's glances lingered. The way HR's head, Carmen Liu, subtly asked for routine staff feedback. And worst of all, the way Blake, the other co-founder, started showing up again. Russell Blake, late 40s, ruthless, charming, and Marcus's opposite in every way. He'd been on sabbatical for almost a year, but now he was back, and something about the timing felt off. Way off. One afternoon, I overheard a conversation near the elevator. Russell talking to Carmen. "It's always the quiet ones," he said, sipping his espresso, "especially when they're cute." Carmen glanced at me as I passed, and I knew they knew something, or at least suspected it. I cornered Marcus that evening in the parking garage. Russell's watching. Jordan's dropping hints. This isn't sustainable. He leaned against his car, tired. "You want to stop?" "No, but we need to be careful." He nodded slowly. "Then come with me." "Where?" "Out of the city. Just a weekend. No office. No emails. Just us. Just us." That weekend changed everything. A lake house, fireplace, wine, laughter that didn't feel stolen. We slept in the same bed, woke up in the same arms. And for the first time, I didn't feel like a risk. I felt like his. And he looked at me like he finally let himself need someone. But when we came back Monday morning, there was an envelope on my desk, unmarked. Inside, photos of us at the lake, on the dock, kissing, holding hands, laughing. There was no note, no name, just proof, and the sinking realization that someone was watching us the whole time, to be continued in Part 3. Someone knew, and they had receipts. Part 3, someone knew, and they had receipts. Secrets die fastest when photographed. I stared at the envelope, hands trembling, pulse racing, mind screaming every version of who did this, because whoever left those photos didn't want to expose us. Not yet. They wanted us to know we were being watched. And that kind of silence, that's not a threat. It's a warning. I walked straight into Marcus's office, shut the door, locked it. He was on a call with a European investor. Didn't matter. Look at this, I said, dropping the envelope on his desk. He opened it slowly, one by one, pulling out glossy photos of us, laughing on the dock, his hand on my thigh, the kiss by the cabin railing. His face went still, not panic, not denial, just that terrifying sea of calm. Where did this come from? He asked. My desk. No return name. No note. Anyone see you open it? Does it matter? It does if the board sees it before I do. I stared at him. That's your first concern? He looked up. No, but it's the only one I can control right now. We spent the next hour in damage control. He texted Jordan, called her into the office. She walked in, eyes narrowing immediately at the photos. This is bad. We know, Marcus said. I've worked here 10 years. You've never been sloppy. I wasn't. Jordan crossed her arms. Then someone had access, high level, knew your passwords, or watched you leave. She paused. Russell, we both looked at each other. It made sense. Too much sense. He'd reappeared out of nowhere, started asking questions, and he never liked me. To him, I was a distraction, a liability. Now he had proof. The next board meeting was set for Friday. 3 days. 3 days until every founder, investor, and executive would be in one room. If Russell brought those photos in, Marcus could lose everything. And me, I'd lose the only thing I ever felt real in. Later that night, Marcus showed up at my apartment. No driver, no suit, just jeans, a hoodie, and a haunted look. I don't care if we get caught, he said. I blinked. That's a lie. Okay, I care, but not enough to stop. Then what are we going to do? He took a breath. I'm going to tell the board before Russell does. My blood ran cold. You'd admit it? Yes, but on my terms. Controlled. Direct. That's suicide. No, that's leadership. He looked me dead in the eye. If I'm going down, I'm going down for something that matters. And if they ask who started it, he didn't hesitate. I'll say I did. I felt tears sting the back of my eyes, because no one had ever protected me like that, not even my own family. But Marcus's plan had one flaw. Russell was smarter than we thought, because the next morning, someone leaked the photos, not to the board, to the press, a gossip blog, obscure, but viral enough to explode in corporate circles. Gay CEO of Blake & Rose spotted in secret lake house weekend with younger staffer. My name wasn't listed, but my face, clear as day. And just like that, my inbox went wild. Phone calls, blocked numbers, client side eyes in the hallway, HR checking in without saying why. And the worst? Marcus's silence. He didn't show up to the office that morning. Didn't call. Didn't text. I sat at my desk, humiliated, exposed, waiting for a sign that I wasn't in this alone. And then, just before lunch, my work badge got deactivated. Security escorted me out. No notice, no warning, no explanation, just a cardboard box, and 14 months of memories shoved into it. That night, I sat in my apartment staring at the wall, wondering how something so intimate could collapse so fast, wondering why Marcus hadn't fought harder, wondering if I'd meant anything to him, or if I was just a phase he regretted. Then there was a knock. I opened the door, and there he was, soaked from rain, eyes red, tie gone. They forced me to choose, he said. And you chose them, I whispered. No, he said. I quit. You what? He stepped in. Russell wanted me to throw you under the bus. Say it was manipulation, that you seduced me. And I told him to go to hell. So they fired you? He shook his head. I walked. I won't be part of a company that punishes love. My heart broke open, because this wasn't about scandal anymore. This was about us, and the cost of loving someone when the world's watching. He sat on the couch, wet, exhausted, real. I have nothing now, he said quietly. I walked over, took his hand. You have me? But even love isn't enough when reputations are destroyed. And the headlines? They were just warming up, to be continued in part 4. The board turned on him, and so did the world. Part 4. The board turned on him, and so did the world. You never really know who's on your side, until your world starts falling apart. After Marcus quit, everything moved fast. The press didn't back off. They circled harder, dug deeper, found a grainy photo of us at a charity gala from 6 months ago. We weren't touching. We weren't even speaking. But the headline still read, Insider confirms. This started long before the lake. And just like that, our timeline became their scandal. I didn't hear from Marcus for 3 days. Not a call, not a text, not even a forwarded news link. And I started wondering if I'd made it all up, if maybe he did regret it, if he'd rather burn everything down than rebuild anything with me. Then my phone rang. Unknown number. Meet me? His voice. Tired. Hoarse. Where? Lobby bar. For seasons. 30 minutes. Click. He looked different when I saw him. Still handsome. Still sharp. But quieter. Like someone who'd been at war with himself for too long. He wore a dark turtleneck. No tie. No suit. And the second he looked up and saw me, he smiled. Small. Real. Thanks for coming. I almost didn't. I wouldn't have blamed you. I sat down. So what now? He took a deep breath. I hired a crisis PR team, but they can only do so much. And the board, half of them have turned. The other half are silent. Pause. Russell's taking over as acting CEO. I swallowed. Are you okay? Not really. Silence. But I don't want this to be over. Not with you. He reached across the table, took my hand. Tell me we still have something. My voice was shaking when I said it. We do. The next few weeks were brutal. Reporters found my building. Paparazzi parked outside. Even my parents got calls. My mom texted. We saw the news. Are you safe? My dad said nothing, which said everything. Jordan Kelly, Marcus's longtime assistant, called me out of the blue. They're running a smear campaign, she said. They've hired people to rewrite your narrative. Who's they? Russell, and whoever he's aligned with on the board. Why are you telling me this? Because I've seen Marcus build this company from nothing, and I've never seen him care about someone the way he does you. Pause. So, don't let them erase your side of the story. The next day, I got a message request on Instagram from someone named Landon Rivera. I almost didn't open it, but curiosity won. I used to date Marcus. A long time ago. You don't know me, but I know what you're feeling. Attached was a screenshot, an email thread between Russell and someone in PR, planning an anonymous leak of my college photos. Stuff from years ago. Me at a frat party. Me kissing a guy in a dorm room. Nothing illegal. Nothing shocking. But enough to make me look reckless to the public. And it hit me. This wasn't just about Marcus. They were trying to destroy me, too. Marcus, and I met in private more often, usually at his condo. Curtains drawn, phones off. Sometimes we talked. Sometimes we didn't. Sometimes he just held me while the world crashed outside. I want to fight back, I told him. Then we will, but we'll lose everything. I've already lost the company. I won't lose you, too. We decided to go public, not through a gossip site, not through a leaked memo, through our own words. Marcus called a reporter he trusted, someone from a business magazine who owed him a favor. You'll get the exclusive, he said, but only if you print our truth, nothing twisted. She agreed. We did the interview. Together, we told them about the timeline, about how I'd never been coerced, about how the lake house was the first time we crossed that line. We didn't sugarcoat it. We didn't romanticize it. We just told the truth. The article dropped 2 days later. Headline: Love and Power. Marcus Blake speaks on his resignation, the board betrayal, and the assistant he couldn't ignore. It exploded, but not in the way we expected. Comments poured in, some angry, some hateful, but many supportive. People called out the hypocrisy. How come CEOs can cheat on wives with interns, but gay relationship gets treated like a crime? Others wrote, this is the most human I've ever seen a corporate executive. And slowly, the tide started turning. Russell tried to discredit us again, but now he looked like the villain. The board held a vote. A split won. But enough voices had changed. Enough people had read our story, seen the truth. They offered Marcus a way back. Conditional, strict, but it was possible. And suddenly, we weren't surviving anymore. We were rebuilding. To be continued in Part 5. They let him back in, but with one rule: stay away from me. Part 5. They let him back in, but with one rule: stay away from me. Power always comes with a price. And this time, I was the price. 2 weeks after the article dropped, Marcus was called into a closed-door board meeting. I waited in a coffee shop nearby, phone in hand, eyes on the screen. Every buzz made my stomach twist. Finally, at 4:13 p.m., he called. They want me back, he said, voice low. They what? Effective immediately. But there's a catch. Pause. I already knew. What catch? They'll reinstate me if I formally agree to distance myself from you. My heart cracked. Distance how? Publicly, professionally, personally. So they're asking you to pretend we never existed. They're asking me to protect their brand. He didn't say no. He didn't say yes. And in that silence, I started to slip. That night, we met at the rooftop of a hotel downtown. City lights glowing behind him. Sky full of smog and secrets. He didn't say much. Just handed me a small black folder. Inside, his signed reinstatement papers. At the bottom, Clause 17B. No personal contact or active engagement with Evan Hayes for the duration of tenure. I stared at it. So that's it? I'm a footnote in a legal clause now. He moved toward me. This isn't goodbye. It sure looks like it. This is survival. For who? He hesitated. For both of us. We kissed. One last time. Not fire. Not desperation. Just sadness. That kind of kiss that says, we almost made it. The next day, the news broke. Marcus Blake returns to Blake and Roe amid controversy. Photos. Smiling faces. Handshake with Russell. And me? Not even mentioned. As if I'd been erased. I tried to move on. Took a temp job at a smaller firm. Less suits. Less eyes. People whispered when I walked in. But they didn't ask questions. Didn't pry. Which, honestly, hurt more. Because it meant I was just a headline now. Something people scrolled past on their lunch break. Then, one evening, Jordan Kelly called again. You okay? Define okay. She sighed. He's miserable, you know. He chose this. He didn't. He was forced. Still signed the paper. He did it for you. You don't have to protect him. I'm not. I'm reminding you that power and love don't always live in the same room, but that doesn't mean love disappears. Her voice cracked. Don't forget what you two had. It mattered. I didn't reply. I just stared out the window of my apartment, thinking about that rooftop, that clause, that kiss. Then came the gala, the annual Blake and Roe Foundation dinner. I wasn't invited, of course, but I saw it live streamed. Marcus stood at the podium. Tux, confident smile, the CEO persona back in place. Tonight, he said, we honor growth, not just in business, but in people. He paused. We often fear what we don't understand, but when we choose honesty, when we choose truth, we grow. People clapped. He looked straight at the camera, eyes dark, unblinking, and some truths are worth everything. That look, it wasn't for the board. It wasn't for the press. It was for me. He sent a text that night. Still yours. Still here. Just waiting for the right fight. And I replied, then fight for us. Because I can't be invisible forever. Love doesn't die when the world turns cold. It hides. It waits. It plans. And that was our plan now. Wait. Watch. And take back everything they tried to bury. To be continued in part 6. Someone leaked his clause, and the internet chose a side. Part 6. Someone leaked his clause, and the internet chose a side. They tried to silence love with a signature, but secrets have a way of slipping through locked doors. And this time, it slipped straight into the hands of the internet. It started with a post. Anonymous. Blurry photo of Marcus's reinstatement contract. Zoomed in on one line. Clause 17B. No personal or professional contact with Evan Hayes. Caption. What kind of company puts this in a contract? Asking for a friend. No tags. No names. But Twitter did what it always does. It dug. And within hours, the hashtags trended. Hashtag let Marcus love. Hashtag clause 17B. Hashtag so not your scandal. Suddenly, our story wasn't just ours anymore. It was everyone's. By morning, every LGBTQ plus business page was covering it. Threads exploded. So a gay CEO gets blackmailed into quitting, rehired, then forced to cut off his partner to keep his job? This isn't professionalism. It's discrimination dressed in pinstripes. Imagine if a straight CEO had this clause about his wife. People were pissed. And for once, they were pissed at the right people. I woke up to 100 DMs, dozens of missed calls, and my name trending in 4 countries. My face was back on screens, but not as the affair, not as the assistant, as a human being, someone people were fighting for. Marcus called. Did you leak it? No. Did you? Of course not. Pause. But I'm glad someone did. His voice was calm, but I could feel the shift in him. He wasn't scared anymore. He was angry. That afternoon, the board released a statement. Bland, corporate, full of damage control. The personal provisions mentioned in recent leaks are standard confidentiality clauses, not reflective of discriminatory policy. People weren't buying it. Comments exploded. Standard? Since when is banning someone from loving who they want standard? This is why corporate America stays homophobic. Clause 17B needs to be canceled. Even celebrities started weighing in. One pop singer tweeted, "Hey at Blake and Roe, y'all hiring HR or writing dystopian romance novels?" Mic drop. Marcus texted me later. They want me to speak publicly. Defend the clause. Are you going to? No, I have a different idea. He didn't explain, but I could tell. He was done playing chess. It was time for checkmate. The next day, Marcus released his own statement, not through the company, through his channels. Instagram, LinkedIn, personal site. He posted a photo of us, one of the leaked ones, from the lake house, sunset in the background, his arm around my shoulder, my head tilted toward him. The caption? Simple. Clause 17B was real. So is my love for Evan, one of those should have never been hidden. And beneath that, I won't apologize for who I am. I won't be told who I can care about. If the cost of leadership is loneliness, then maybe it's time to lead a different way. It broke the internet. Within 3 hours, 1 million likes. Hashtag Clause 17 climbed to number 3 worldwide. Multiple board members deactivated Twitter. Stock took a minor dip, but public support spiked. Suddenly, investors weren't the loudest voices. The people were, and they were choosing us. The board panicked. Leaks, interviews, requests to Marcus to take it all down. He didn't. You wanted silence, he told them. Now you have an audience instead. You wanted shame. Now the world sees love. They called an emergency vote to remove Clause 17B. And by the next morning, it was gone, wiped, nullified, just like that. But even with the clause gone, our relationship was still in limbo, because loving each other in secret is one thing. Loving each other in the spotlight, that's a whole different kind of war. To be continued in Part 7. He held my hand in public, and cameras were waiting. Part 7. He held my hand in public, and cameras were waiting. They removed the clause, but the world didn't remove its eyes. And the first time Marcus reached for my hand in public, it wasn't quiet. It wasn't private. It was a statement. It was a tech and innovation gala, an annual luxury affair. Black ties, red carpet, every flashbulb aimed like a weapon. Marcus was on the guest list. I wasn't, but an hour before the event, he sent me a message. Be outside your building in 15. I barely had time to change. Threw on a navy suit. Fumbled with the buttons. When I came down, he was standing beside a black car, talking to a driver. And when he saw me, he smiled like I was everything. In the car, we didn't say much. Just little glances. Small touches. His hand grazed mine. And for once, he didn't pull away. Are you ready? He asked. No. Good. Neither am I. The entrance was chaos. Cameras. Paparazzi. Reporters with long lenses. Marcus stepped out first. Flashes exploded. He rounded the car, opened my door, held out his hand. And I took it. No hesitation. No hiding. We stood side by side, fingers locked, as photographers shouted his name. Marcus, is this your assistant? Is this the man from the lake photo? Is this official now? Are you in love? He didn't answer them. He didn't need to, because he squeezed my hand tighter and kept walking. Inside, the atmosphere shifted. Some people smiled. Others whispered. A few looked deeply uncomfortable. Russell was there too. He saw us and froze. Champagne in one hand. Fake laugh halfway through his throat. I swear his eyes nearly rolled out his skull. Marcus nodded politely at him. That's it. No confrontation. No drama. Just cool confidence. Because we didn't need revenge. We were the proof. A few minutes later, a reporter from a major magazine approached us. Would you be open to a joint feature? Something real, not tabloid fluff. Marcus looked at me. Only if Evan tells his side. Not just mine. That's a plan. We exchanged cards. And just like that, my voice got its own platform. Later that night, on the rooftop balcony, the city spread beneath us in glittering silence. Marcus pulled me closer. You okay? Better than I've been in months. Scared. Always. He smiled. Me too. I rested my head on his shoulder, and for a second, there was no boardroom, no clause, no headlines, just us, breathing in the same air. Finally, scene. When we left the gala, I thought the chaos would settle, that maybe now the story was done unraveling, but I was wrong, because 3 days later, a letter arrived, no return address, just my name, scrawled in careful cursive. Inside was a single sentence. You don't know what he's hiding. Attached was a photo, black and white, blurry, but clear enough. Marcus, at a restaurant, with a man I didn't recognize. Same table, different night. Same smile, but not mine. And just like that, doubt cracked the surface again, to be continued in Part 8. I asked him about the photo, and he didn't deny it. Part 8. I asked him about the photo, and he didn't deny it. They say every love story is a twist. I just didn't think ours would come in an envelope, without a name, without a warning. I stared at the photo for hours. Marcus, laughing, head tilted toward a man in a sharp suit, a hand resting too close to his. Wine glasses between them. The note's words wouldn't stop echoing in my head. You don't know what he's hiding. And suddenly, I wasn't sure if I did. I could have ignored it, could have buried it, could have pretended it was old or fake or meaningless. But I couldn't. Not after everything. Not after being hidden, erased, fought over. I needed the truth. So I sent him a message. We need to talk. His reply was instant. Tonight, my place. I brought the photo with me. Not to accuse. Not to ambush. Just to ask. When I walked in, he looked up from his kitchen island. Whiskey glass in hand. No suit. Just a hoodie. He looked tired. Like the weight of months was finally catching up to him. What's going on? He asked. I didn't answer. Just slid the envelope across the counter. He opened it slowly. Paused when he saw what was inside. And then he sighed. Not shocked. Not defensive. Just defeated. His name is Daniel, he said softly. We used to be together. Used to. Years ago. Before I built the company. Before I learned how easy it is to lose yourself. Why are you meeting him now? He looked at me, eyes sharp, honest, because he reached out after the article. Wanted to talk. Catch up. Is that all? Long pause. Then, yes. But he didn't say it with anger or with guilt. He said it like a man who'd already decided not to lie. I didn't tell you because I knew how it would look. But I didn't do anything wrong. I swear. I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to. But that photo, the hand, the smile, the past I'd never seen, it clouded everything. You said I was the first person you couldn't ignore. I said quietly, and you are. Then prove it. He walked around the island, came close, took my hand. I don't need to prove it. I just need to live it. His forehead rested against mine, and I realized something. This wasn't about trust. This was about fear, about how much we'd both risked, about how love this public doesn't survive on feelings alone. It needs fight. It needs faith. It needs both of us walking through the fire, even when it burns. The next morning, Marcus posted again. A picture of us. No glam. No filters. Just us on his couch. Coffee mugs. Morning hair. Bare feet. The caption? They try to turn our story into a scandal. But what we have, it's not a headline. It's home. And the comments? Thousands of them. You too are the definition of resilience. Love wins. Tell whoever sent that photo. Nice try. But we believe in them. For the first time in forever, there was peace. Not because the world approved, but because we stopped needing them to. Months passed. Marcus stepped down from the company completely, not because he was forced to, but because he wanted a different life, one where boardrooms didn't control his heart, where power wasn't tied to silence, where he could walk into a restaurant, hold my hand, and not care who was watching. And me? I started my own media platform. Real stories, real people, real love, and the first video we posted was ours. From the first kiss to the first scandal, to the last time we let fear speak louder than the truth, it went viral. But this time, that wasn't the goal. The goal was freedom. And we finally had it.